Hey guys, welcome back to Watch Trading Academy, and today we are talking to Wilson, and for $250,000 club, he's back. 6 months ago, he was at $100,000 in trading profits, and now he's already at 250. You know what I've always said, first off, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It's a big accomplishment, it's a big deal, you know, because watch trading is so passive, so easy, and it kind of flows. And once you get good at it, it's like so easy to just pick up the phone and be like, I send one text and I made like 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put your beautiful award here. You guys have to see this. It's, you know, it's not the award. Who cares about this thing? It's just a couple $100. What matters the most is what you've been able to accomplish. And I think that's a pretty big thing. So, you know, I want to talk a little bit. I know people have already seen your 100K club interview, which was just 6 months ago. So it's like they're already this fresh in their mind. But there are some people that may just see this interview. So if it is repetitive, I'm sorry. What was the first, I know you joined WTA roughly like about a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Yeah,
is that correct?
just about, yep.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the beginning of watch trading for you.
Yeah.
What was the first watch you bought after joining Watch Trading Academy, and how much was it?
Yeah, the first watch I bought was a Breitling Super Ocean. It was $1,800.
$1,800.
Yeah.
So okay, so you came in the game with $1,800. Tell me a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, so I was working at a car dealership at that time, and then some guy wanted to buy a car, but he didn't have a down payment. And I had just finished going like halfway through WTA 1. So like I saw that on his wrist, I was like, oh, I know that's a Breitling. Since he needed cash, I actually made an offer for him on that watch. He said he would think about it, and next day he came back in and was like, I really want this car, so if you want to buy this watch off me, I'll take the cash. So we actually used that cash as a down payment, and that helped me acquire my first watch.
Okay. How long did it take you? Because to make 250K, that means you're averaging about 20,000 a month.
Yeah.
How long did it take you from the very beginning to get to 5K a month?
5K a month, 3 months.
So in 3 months, you were
Yeah.
earning 5 grand regularly on trading watches.
Yeah.
Were you trading a lot of watches, or was this just 1 or 2 watches?
I wasn't trading too many watches. I was probably trading like 5, 6 watches a month to get to 5 grand a month.
Okay, so like averaging about $1,000 watch. What was the average price of the watches you were buying at the time?
I would say around like 10 to 20K. I was in that range.
Okay, and then you started getting to 10 grand a month. So tell
Yeah.
me, how long did that take after the first 3 months? Like 90 days in, you're making 5 grand.
Yeah.
That's a salary in today's place, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like 60, 70 grand a year.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get to 10K after
Yeah,
that?
my first 10 grand month was in November of 2023. So that was 6 months after I joined.
So 3 more months, you almost doubled up.
5 months after I joined, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 2 months after, you
Yeah.
just doubled up.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had a pretty fast rise to income
Yeah.
in this kind of ecosystem, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Why, or how did watch trading specifically, why did watch trading appeal to you? And how did it change your life generally? I'm not just talking about joining this community, but I mean just this trade as a whole.
Yeah. You know, I was really never, I was never into luxury. You know, my family would always go shopping at, you know, Gucci, Fendi, LV at the mall, and I would just be so uninterested. And then I saw this ad on Facebook about learning how to drive exotics at little to no cost, cheaper than Camrys and stuff like that. So I actually joined ECH. And when I joined ECH, on that checkout page, there was like a little check mark to join WTA as well. I watched both courses, and when I watched WTA, what I heard was basically you can make money wearing these luxury watches. And I was like, you know what, like I was never really into luxury, but if I can make money wearing luxury, why not do it, right? So that's what really, really appealed to me, was that I can make money while wearing these luxury watches and networking with these luxury watches as well.
And why did watch trading specifically appeal to you as a side hustle? Not necessarily like, oh, it's beautiful, you know, obviously cars and watches kind of go together, but why specifically for you was that because you said you were working at a dealership.
Yeah.
And there's a business, there's like time consuming things. So why was this necessarily appealing to you?
One word, it was fun. Just pure fun. The people that I've been networking with, the people that I've been selling to and networking with, because I'm selling these watches to them, it's so fun learning from them and deepening my relationship with them. It doesn't even seem like a side hustle, I guess. It just seems like normal life, and I'm making money just living my life.
I've always said that it's like what you would do anyways, right?
Yeah,
Like in a
yeah.
way, like no matter what, you're buying stuff. So
Yeah.
why not make money off the stuff you're buying, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the first 90 days in watch trading. What were the fears? What did you have to overcome?
Yeah.
Or was it like every deal was great? Did you have some losses? Tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about like what the experience was
Yeah,
like.
the fear was not buying correctly. That was my biggest fear. I was still working on my numbers. Once I learned my numbers, it got a lot easier. I just,
What gave you that confidence, that click to, know your numbers?
yeah, I would say practice over and over again. Like when I was going through the Watch Trading Academy courses, I had this little calculator on a spreadsheet where every single time I found a watch on eBay or Chrono, I would use this calculator to calculate comps like 20% or 30% below what's on Chrono 24, what are wholesale prices, basically what's a price that I can buy right and be safe at. Once I got really, really used to that, my confidence skyrocketed.
Okay, very good. So when you look at kind of like getting here, right? It wasn't that long of a journey for you. And one of the things I love is in watch trading, we've seen that journey get smaller and lower for people. You know,
Yeah.
like this time we're awarding $1 million awards, and we have people that have done this in 6 months, and
Yeah.
you just said in 12 months, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
I always say compounding knowledge is a powerful concept of the internet, right? We can earn on top of each other's knowledge and kind of grow faster. What was the best piece of advice you've gotten generally in the industry as you started that you think people should take back with them as well?
Networking is key. That's probably advice that I've heard before but never really took seriously. And now trading watches, I understand why people say your network is your net worth. You know, I'm sure everyone has heard that before. But actually putting effort into networking with these high net worth people, having them, building the currency of trust with them, and building that currency of trust with them. Those have been the most valuable things that I've learned from this community.
Okay.
Yeah.
And our students have asked some questions here, so I specifically have asked other students to kind
Okay.
of what would they want to know,
Yeah.
like in terms of what they want to know about your journey specifically. And then I have my own questions, so we'll get to those too.
Yeah.
One of the things that they wanted to know is why should they take this seriously? Because some of them are saying that, the one question came where the person was saying that they've seen other people do it, but there's so many opportunities to make money. Like
Yeah.
you can do crypto, you can do this, etc. Why should people take watch flipping specifically seriously?
Yeah. I think that goes back to how you phrased it was it's something that you would be doing anyway. If you want a life of financial freedom and time freedom, you want to have fun while achieving those things, then watch trading and watch flipping is just something that you would naturally be doing anyway at that level.
I think the fun component is something people often miss in this
Yeah.
equation because most side hustles are hard work and a lot of work, and
Yeah.
even crypto side hustles are boring because you're looking at a screen all day and you're like, what is this? But generally speaking, like I think that people really, really misunderstand how exciting and fun it is to wear a watch and then be like, I actually like looking at this every day. Like I enjoy what's happening on my wrist no matter what.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm going to make money off of that. It's pretty crazy, right? Like to
crazy.
think that like it doesn't make sense. Like to
Yeah.
the average human looking at this from the outside lens, they're like, you guys are a cult or something. Like this doesn't make sense. Like how are you making money off of that? Like why would there be money? But yet it's such a large industry that coming from the outside, people don't realize exists. Did you anticipate how big the watch world was before? Because in the car business, you kind of know, you can see there's thousands of dealerships everywhere and et cetera. But what do you think of the watch business before you were in the watch business? What do you think about it now?
I just didn't really even know. I mean, I guess I knew it existed, but I didn't know, the details, the finances, and all the different aspects of the community behind it. And now that I do know, like my eyes have literally been opened. I've been enlightened that like you can have fun doing something, make lots of money, and grow your network like crazy. It's amazing.
So now my questions. So
Yeah.
my questions are more about from 100K to 250,000.
Yeah.
That's a big jump. 6 months is a fast time because that means you've taken 12 months to get to the first, but then in the last 6 months, the rate of return and the increase goes up.
Yeah.
I've always said that the watch trading journey begins at 100K because that's when you're kind of flowing enough deals to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
and it really caps at 1 million, which I've been proved wrong here because we have students that have done 3 million and have found very lucrative and interesting strategies to get there.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what has enabled you to, what happened in your mind that went from I'm doing a couple of deals and making 10K a month
Yeah.
to I'm really hitting 20K a month every month and it's going to only go up from there? Was there a shift in behavior, in inventory? Did you have to put millions of dollars in inventory? What specifically changed that made that switch and like, let's go?
Yeah, yeah. I would say having a proven process to, from buying a watch at the right price to knowing who your target customer is and selling it at that target price as well. Once I got that proven process down, literally recording myself doing it, watching my own videos all the time, comparing it to what you teach in WTA, having that all placed in SOPs and a CRM, that gave me lots of confidence to know like, hey, I'm at 100 and I have this process. All I really need to do now is scale that.
And when you think about scaling that, do you think more money? Do you think more sales, more listings? What specifically does that mean? Because that's a very broad term. Like, I'm going to scale that. Okay, well, what we can scale to. But the point is, what are some of these steps that people can take back in what you've taken? So you have the process down. You measure for yourself on your CRM. What are you buying at? Who you're selling to?
Right.
How do you take that to, I need to go further, faster?
Yeah, definitely two things that you inject into your process that makes you scale super, super fast. Number one is more inventory for sure, which means more listings, which means that you have a way wider reach online everywhere. Number two is more people to handle those processes for you.
So explain that second one.
Yeah, so what I did was I hired a bunch of VAs from the Philippines and all over the world, overseas talent, to help me do all the things that I don't need to do here in the United States.
Such as, like, what are some of the things that they've helped with?
Yeah, so photo editing, video editing as well, transcribing these videos, turning them into descriptions, creating like a draft listing, for example. And once I approve this draft listing, then they're using that data from that approved listing to list everywhere online, right? Chrono24, eBay, forums, Reddit, more platforms growing and growing, but they know to list everywhere.
So the VA thing is an interesting angle because I've heard this not work for a series of people. You know, they were like, I'd rather hire someone here to do this. What made you successful in this kind of angle?
Yeah, I would say specifically with hiring the overseas talent.
Do they know about watches, or do they know?
They didn't know anything about watches.
Okay.
They're still learning too, just like me. But I would say because I had this proven process and I knew exactly what I wanted them to do before I hired them, that made me build this team successfully.
Okay, that's interesting. So do you train your VAs, or what specifically do you do to kind of make them more efficient?
Yeah, so I talked about making like my own training videos and my own SOPs for how I scaled from 0 to 100.
Yeah, that's why I was curious, because earlier you talked about videos. I was like, what, you record yourself? Doing what?
I just record myself, put it on Google Drive, give them access to my Google Drive, and they learn how I trade. And they're just doing it for my company, basically.
Okay,
right?
so they basically hired to work for you using your strategy, but you record yourself doing it so they can kind of understand how to duplicate that.
Yep.
So how do they help with photography if they're not taking because they don't have the watches physically there? Correct?
Yeah. I don't want to give away too much information
so now
on my exact process.
we're getting into the proprietary stuff. This is the good stuff. So give me something.
Yeah.
These people take photos, or do you take the photos and they edit them?
We take the photos and they edit them.
Okay, so they're mainly editors. They don't have the watches.
Yep, they're just editors.
So, it's important for people to take something they can use back from this.
Yeah.
Would you say VAs have been the reason you've been able to scale perhaps faster than other people, or was there something else that was that? Like kind of like your way. Like we know our $3 million club member did it with crypto, something that we teach, but not so much like in detail. Like it's not the #1 place to go, right?
Yeah.
So was VAs your thing, or was there something, is that really your competitive advantage over, you think, fellow students?
Yeah, I can break this down. So VAs were the main reason why I started generating an infinite amount of leads. Right?
Okay, so talk about that a little bit so people can, how can people incorporate this? Maybe not to the extent you have, but how can they incorporate this into what they're doing now?
Yeah. I want to talk about some of the pains first, right? Because
that's fine.
Like when you first get into watch trading and you learn how to start listing watches, then that process gets a little bit repetitive. You kind of have to muster up the energy to do that photo shoot, do that intake video, and actually execute the process afterwards to create a beautiful listing and list that everywhere. It takes a lot of time, gets really repetitive, right?
It's annoying, like because it's not like exciting work, right?
Yeah, not as exciting as going out wearing your watch and networking,
Right.
you know? But once you hand that off to a VA team and you just, all these listings are just handled for you 24/7, then something gets listed super, super fast. And I can go to market with a watch that I just bought or intook and sell it faster than most other people because it gets listed faster.
And what is the risk of having a VA? Isn't there a risk that they steal your access, login accounts?
Yeah.
I mean, are these real? Or
Yeah. I think there's always a risk. I actually use a password manager for all the password stuff. And I vet them pretty well, just like I would vet someone that I'm buying a watch from or selling a watch to.
Can you share a little bit of detail about what are some of the questions you may ask a VA in terms of understanding if they are a fit to participate in, like if someone's looking to hire a VA, their first VA, what kind of questions would they ask to decipher if the person was worth even bringing on board to train or not?
Yeah. Some of the top questions I ask are usually they're into things like cars, watches, and luxury items already.
So they know that industry a little bit. Okay.
They're familiar with like brands and they like understand the value behind luxury items.
Okay, so they know a Richard Mille is an expensive item, for
Yes,
example, instead of just like, I don't know what that even is. Why is that a square?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first thing. And then the second thing is just to make sure that they're a culture fit, because when building a team, you have to make sure that everyone gets along with each other and gets along with me as well. Those are probably the top two things that I always ask every freelancer about, because everything else, the technical skills and all that, you can train someone on that, right? You can't really train someone on their personality and how they'll be a culture fit.
And what should someone expect to pay for a VA on average?
Yeah, it depends on where you hire from, but my cost for a VA is anywhere between $800 to $1,200, depending on the skills that they have.
Is that per month or per week?
Per month. Sorry,
per month.
per
Okay,
month.
so per month.
Yeah.
Okay. And you could pay more because they may already know watches or may have an intricate knowledge of what you're asking. Is that correct?
Yep,
okay.
Definitely.
How many VAs do you think someone should need when they're starting versus getting past 100K or?
Yeah, I think that if you are to hire, I always like to hire in pairs and train both those people at the same time, then create some friendly competition in the environment.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
So I do that a lot, and I always say only start with those two. And when you're working with them, you do have to invest a lot of time in them. And the main reason is because some things that you wrote in your SOP or some things that you thought worked for you in your processes may not work for them. So you have to invest a lot of time working with them, tweaking your processes to make sure it works in a team environment.
So why do you think you've been successful at this while people that are other 500K club members are finding that hiring local talent is more powerful?
Yeah, I'm not saying that local talent is not valuable and not powerful. I'm just saying that if you were to scale from 100 to 250, I think personally that one of your first hires should be a VA because there's lower risk and lower cost to handle a administrative task that is very easy to hand off.
So you think that this has helped you scale faster because in the earlier stages, that's what you're doing. I know we spoke before this interview, you talked about hiring some family members to join you, on this kind of quest.
Yeah.
What are some of the specific things that you don't trust a VA or that people shouldn't trust a VA to do?
Yeah.
What are some things that are like, this is off, you can't touch that?
Yeah.
I don't want you to know anything about that.
Yeah, I think, there's two reasons why I hire overseas talent. The number one is because the cost of the VA overseas is much lower. But also, I don't want them touching the watches, right? That's basically the main thing. Because, dealing with so many watches, you have to have insurance in place and you have to trust people to handle these watches with care. You don't want a watch to get polished and then come back to an intake video shoot or a photo shoot and have it be scratched up again, right? So those are some of the things that I hire overseas or remote talent specifically for. And then I would only hire local talent or people, in office in my watch trading environment to actually handle the watches.
And what has been your favorite brand to scale?
AP, 100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
What has made that brand good for you?
The margins.
So you found AP margin has been good for you.
Yeah.
What are you averaging per AP?
Around 2,000, 3,000.
Dollars per unit.
Per unit.
Which is
right.
how much percentage? Because I don't know what dollar AP
It's probably around 15%.
15% on
Yeah.
every AP,
Yeah.
like on average, some
Yeah.
more, some less.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you had one piece of advice for someone that's at 100K club, that's
Yeah.
looking to scale to 250, I mean, you gave some great details about VAs here. I think there's a lot of important knowledge here to be shared. But generally, what piece of advice would you leave people with in terms of what can they do to go from 100 to 250 faster?
Yeah, I would say if you want to get to from 100 to 250, you can do it by yourself. That's totally cool. But if you want to do it without burnout, one of your first hires should be a pair of VAs that you give all of your administrative tasks to, so you can do whatever the F you want while they're doing all the listings for you.
Very good. So, Wilson, thank you so much for joining me today again and sharing the knowledge. This was a very informative piece on virtual assistants. I hope you guys paid attention. A big congrats to Wilson, who's here for his 250K Club Award today. I mean, guys, 6 months ago, he was making 100K. Now he's doubled up. Who will be next? When are you guys going to wake up and start joining me right here, talking about your success? Watch Trading Academy is changing lives, and your life could be next. Thanks again for joining, and we'll catch you next time.